Hi, I'm Ayla Vale, and I'm a romance writer. But as I sat down to write my romance novels, I did two things. One, I dove deep into the pop culture presentation by various dating and romance experts and saw what advice and information they were giving out. And I also dug into the science by the leading scientific experts in the field and saw a great deal of dichotomy. And I think the most important thing you have to understand in dating is demographics and individuals. It seems that every dating guru and self proclaimed expert talks about women want this, women like this, men want this, men like this, and it's drastically wrong. People are individuals. The greatest confusion in dating is taking general advice like women want this or men want this, or taking something you have learned about someone you dated and applying it to someone new. I think that the best example of this is my mother told me that a young man should always open my car door, and that meant that he respected me. And I was a teenager. At the time, I never questioned it. I don't think she ever questioned it. And so early in dating, I listed it as a red flag. When he didn't do it, that was it. He was not a good man. And I realized later that that's not really what it means when he opens my door. And some men would never do it. And some men would always do it. And as I began to question this later in my life, I began to see other indications that this was just a cultural standard. It had nothing to do with the quality of their character or how they would treat me. Later in life, I would meet women whose husbands always opened their door. You would see it at church, you would see it everywhere. And then they would get a divorce, and we'd find out he'd been beating her for years. And there were other men who never opened their wife's door when they went anywhere. And these women loved their husbands. They thought they were amazing. And even more so, some of them were loved by their mother-in-laws too because they were such good husbands. And I began to realize that whether he opened my door or not didn't have anything to do with respect. And that's when I began to experiment. If he opened my door, I would tell him I didn't like that and didn't want him to do it anymore. And if he didn't open my door, I'd tell him that I would like him to do that. The men that respected me changed to match my preference because to them, they didn't care if they opened the door or not. They wanted to be good to me and they would do what I asked. The weirdest ones were the ones where I would ask them not to do it and they would keep doing it anyway. I would tell them I don't like it and they kept doing it because someone told them they should, and my preference didn't matter. I'm Ayla Vale. I'm a romance writer, but I wanted to share some of the things I learned. People are individuals, but some of them can be put into demographics. If anyone tells you men want this, or women this way, and men are that way, they're wrong because we're just too complicated. I think the jokes that, women have to be all these different things to be appealing to men, and some of them contradict, or men have to be all of these things. What is it? The good bad boy? Right? These are born out of us taking every piece of general advice and every piece of past experience and putting it into one bucket. And that's not how it works. We are individuals. And if you want to be good at dating, it is all about finding those individual traits in the other person. So I guess the idea behind my story, what I've been trying to share today, is that what you're looking for in a partner was described by the experts in this field, the Gottmans, as an infinite and endless curiosity about you or your partner. Someone who constantly wants to know about you, because as we grow older and grow up, our interests change. And if our partner is constantly interested in us, constantly curious about us, they will see those changes. Perhaps a 17-year-old me, it would have been very important that the young man opened my door. But in my 30s, it's not. In fact, I would prefer not to just sit in the car and wait for him to come around. I would prefer not to stand waiting for him to do that. I can just open my own door. And that's a preference that has probably changed in my wife. Now, a young man told that he should do that might try and do that his entire life, but a young man who I met when I was 17 might have opened my door for me. And 10, 20 years later, as my preference began to shift, he would know because he has that infant and endless curiosity about me. So that's my first video essay, whatever, I don't know what you would call this. It's my thoughts on this. Yeah. So outside of these, I probably won't make more than one of these in a month. And, after a few months, if no one's really interested, I'll probably stop. But other than that, you can check out my books. They are intended to entertain, but it is the same mind that writes them that thinks these thoughts, if you're interested.